What's up, y'all? Portia Benbow here, founder of Diabetes and the Odds, and we are here for another Sweet Tea Dialogues, one that I'm extremely excited about, living with type 1 diabetes, the black male experience, and I have some amazing guests here with me today. We really wanted to talk about this, or have this conversation, because oftentimes we don't get to hear from black men and their experiences with living with type 1 diabetes, and so excited to talk through some of that with you all today. I'm going to toss it to my guests so that they can introduce themselves, and then we'll hop right into the conversation.
Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Antoine Gibson. I am a musician in Atlanta, and I have been living with type 1 diabetes for, what year is it, 2025? Yeah. Sheesh. About 22, 23 years, one of those numbers.
What's going on, everybody? I am Donn. I work in the communications field, doing marketing and branding, and I've been living with diabetes since 2003, so it's been 22 years.
Got some OGs over here.
Yeah.
And bringing up the rear is the baby. So, Ahmed Johnson. I'm a senior manager for community programs and partnerships with AMBSC. And I've been living with diabetes now for 9 years. I was diagnosed in 2016.
Okay, so then you two were diagnosed when you were kids, and you as an adult. And I guess I'm the triple OG because I was diagnosed when I was 11, so I've had it for 26 years this past April. But let's talk about how you were diagnosed. Let's jump to you first, Antoine.
I don't have a crazy story. A lot of people have crazy like DKA stories. I don't have one of those. I just got really sick. I started losing a lot of weight. Wasn't really hungry, but I was super thirsty. I was drunk 25 different Powerades in like an hour-long span. My mom was like, "What is wrong with this guy?" Took me to the hospital, and come to find out this type 1 diabetes. Was in the hospital for about a week, then went home. I don't have a crazy story at all. Thank God, thankfully, my story's not too bad. But that's pretty much what happened.
Okay. I had some of the same symptoms. Did you lose any weight?
Oh, I lost a whole lot of weight. A whole lot of weight. Super skinny. And you lose it. I lost it so fast. In about a week or two, I lost maybe, I don't know. My mom knows all these numbers exactly. I don't know. I don't know the specifics like she does, but I lost a lot of weight super quickly, and my parents took me to the hospital, and we found out that's what it was.
Okay. Yeah. So you say not a crazy story.
I've heard some crazy stories.
But Donn, do you have a crazy story?
Mine's is like semi-crazy. Mine's like kind of like a waiting period. Every summer as a kid, I went to like Valdosta, Georgia for the summertime, and the one summer when I was like 12, I went there, and everyone thought it was the heat. I was drinking a lot of water, going to the bathroom a lot, and we ignored it. I started getting real fatigued and moody. I never forget. We went to Longhorns. And this is back in the day, y'all. And my body couldn't take nothing. And I never forget. It sounds so disgusting. As I said, I had to like throw up. And I was trying to rush to the bathroom. I threw up and slipped all in the throw up. And we still had no idea what was going on. The people in the restaurant were like, it's okay. I'm in the country. So, country folks just love taking care of people. I left out there with Longhorn shirts on, Longhorn sweatpants. Okay. But, so you continued to about to the end of the summer. So about August came. I went to Valdosta in early June. Yeah. And the end of August was getting ready to go to Disney World. I got the shower, and my aunt was like, "You look like one of those kids from Africa." And I was like, "Oh!" And she said, "Yeah, we went to the hospital." We got to the hospital. It was a small medical center. They didn't have technology there. It was like, when I say behind the 8 ball, even for the time, it was 2002. So I'm quite sure that stuff wasn't advanced then yet. But when we got there, the doctor didn't know what it was. I had a bunch of tests. It took one nurse coming in just saying, "Yeah, he got diabetes." Mm-hmm. She said it, walked away like it was nothing, and came back with insulin, and that's when I started to basically get together. But from that moment on, it was so small, like the medical facility was so small, my mom she didn't fly, she don't get on airplanes. So her and my cousin, they drove from Philadelphia to Valdosta to drive me back to Philadelphia.
Oh, wow.
And about probably like 15-hour drive straight to the hospital. And I had to go to Temple Hospital in Philadelphia, and that's when I got all the diabetes and all the insulin and all the kind of ropes down, get packed for it.
So you said there was a delay.
Yeah.
So talk about the delay, and why do you think that delay was, right? Because we'll talk about it, but talk about the delay.
Yeah.
When the symptoms started to when you actually got diagnosed.
I think it was just being uneducated. Like we didn't know because my whole entire family is like folks have like type 2 diabetes, but it was never a topic of conversation. But nobody in my family has type 1 besides me. And I'm like, how did I get this?
Right.
Like, what part of the family this is a part of? I'm just like, I'm the one with the glasses and diabetes. Like what's next? But that delay, it was just like, we blamed it on the heat all summer long, and we just did not know. And even to the point that once I got diagnosed, it was still like unanswered questions. Like, okay, what do we do now? And we was in a facility that had no answers for us. And even with the Temple still had no answers for us either. It was just like, okay, insulin twice a day, no sugar, and that was it.
Yeah. Dang.
Yeah, it's rough.
I think that's a great point to bring up, because low-income Black and brown communities are very often uneducated around what diabetes looks like. Even myself, when I got diagnosed, I only thought like older people and like people that were out of shape, like got diabetes, and you only get it from eating sugar. And of course, we know that's not the case.
True. Yep.
But I was this little kid running around all healthy, and I'm like, how did I get diabetes? Like something is wrong.
I thought it was just you had to be overweight, and so now I'm like, I'm small, and I'm young, and I started thinking like, so I will be in school was like, how I got it, he don't got it, how I got it, she don't got it. I'm like, they bigger than me though, and I kept that mind, and like I kept that mindset for so long, and I was just like, damn, like they don't got diabetes, but I got it, and so I just blinked it out. I was like, out of my mind. That's what I did, and it was like, but it wasn't good. Yeah. So it was just that transition, being so young and not knowing what it was, just being like that rebel kid, and you're still like just growing up and developing, and just being young.
And a preteen at that.
Yeah.
Like we worried about like being teenagers, not trying to deal with diabetes.
Not taking shots. But come on now.
So Ahmed, for you, it's completely different because you were like a whole adult. Like, so let's talk about your diagnosis story.
So I think I'm about to bring the craziness in the room. So my particular case, we was coming back from Miami. Now, justification is real because I had the dry mouth, excessive urination, and extreme fatigue. But this was on the way back from Miami, which is a 10-hour drive. So we stopping every hour, and my boys are like, yo, what's wrong with you now? You grown and can't hold a bathroom? What's wrong with you? But I was like, man, we jumped in that saltwater pool, man. I caught something from that saltwater pool. It made sense at the time. But I get back home, and again, the excessiveness, dry mouth, urination, dehydration, fatigue. I would drink a Monster drink and then fall asleep. Like, how? What's going on? Because I was working out 6 to 7 times a week, playing sports, football, ultimate frisbee, basketball, doing yard work, extremely active, and then and dating. So I say all that to say all those things became extremely difficult because I couldn't cut the grass without 10 minutes without going to use the bathroom. Really didn't feel comfortable on the phone having a conversation because, hey, hold on one second, let me run to the bathroom. So now it got too loud, the symptoms and things of that nature started getting really loud. And what changed for me is like I was cutting the grass at my mom's house, and I kept stopping the lawnmower, and I just looked over my shoulder, and it's just like she was just staring at me. Now, my dad was a type 1 diabetes, and I think she saw something in me. She saw it and was just like, she you tell me what to do, I'm going to do the exact opposite, but she just came to me and was like, you need to go to the hospital. So I was like, all right, well, called the hospital, called my primary care, and they was like, you need to come in now. And for whatever reason, I was like, no, I don't want to, They was like, well, look, you on record. We on record saying you need to come in now, but you don't want to come in. I was like, yeah, I'll come in Wednesday. So I just started making plans at work because I just felt like something was off. And when I went to the doctor's office, they actually tested me for everything else but diabetes. They tested me for STDs because I thought I had the polo, V-neck shirt on. I had the hat to the back, Stan Smiths. Like I was like, I was like, 6'2", 185. Like it was just my lineups were cool. They were cool. But they tested me for everything, and then kind of similar to yours, a nurse came in and was like, "Did y'all test him for diabetes?" And they was like, "Nah." And she was like, "His urine sample is straight glucose." Wow. So I was just like, okay, like, is that good? Is that bad? But they ended up sending me home. I got a meter and everything of that nature and some metformin. And it was just like, take that. I was like, okay. So, of course, I go home, I'm crying. Meter is saying 375. I'm like, I don't know what this means. I don't know anything. Yeah. Then I get a call, like later on that night, about 11 o'clock, like, Ahmed Johnson, this is such and such, I'm like, hey, how you doing? They was like, are you at home? I was like, yeah. It was like, you should not be at home. It was actually the lab that had my blood calling me that night. It was like, you should not be at home. What's your sugar level? I'm like, I think it was 315, 375. If it does not go down within the next hour, you go back. I was like, okay. Well, long story short, I was diagnosed as type 2. Got my A1C down from like a 12, 13 to a 5.8. And then about a year later, started creeping back up. Metformin, glipizide, those things weren't working anymore. The same symptoms that I was experiencing, not only did I experience it again, but then it became like depression. Then the excessive weight loss. Then just like the mental well-being started to spiral. And then the taps on the shoulder from like just complete strangers and peers, like, you okay? It's like the look, the physical, it's almost like I started to dry up, And what changed for me is I told who's my wife now, I had an episode and she was like, we're going to the doctor. You're going to change your insurance at open enrollment and we're going to the doctor. And so when I went to the doctor, that's when things got real for me. It was like, you're actually type 1. You're not type 2. Wow. And the dude was just like, you need to start injecting yourself. These pills, these things of that nature, it's not doing you anything. Right. So what is the word? Lispro, Humalog, all that stuff. I got like a crash course, something that I didn't have before, but I got a crash course. And it's almost like I had an advocate because he started advocating for me to get a pump. He started advocating for me to get a Dexcom. And within 30 days, I went from actually going into diabetic ketoacidosis to like having somewhat of a normal life back. So I guess you can say I had a diagnosed period of like a year and a half or 2 diagnoses.
Wow. That's
wild.
That is wild. So we're going to take a quick break and eat a little bit, right? Because I feel like you can't have like a table full of diabetics and no food. So shout out to Just Eats Cafe for giving us these breakfast Phillies. Feel free to grab one. Go ahead. But they look amazing. But this is just like a small thank you for you guys coming to kind of share your story with us today. So,
thank you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, pass it down here.
You gonna hold it out.
Where's everybody's sugar, though, before we start? Let me see what I'm sitting. I'm sitting at 164. It's not bad.
I'm at 118.
Okay, 118.
147.
Okay, 147.
189.
Okay,
I'm coming down. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, we listen, we don't judge. You was trending a little higher earlier. Me too. Like, I had heard it took a little bit of instance, so when we had to call it out, I was going to be a little lower than what I was. So, yeah. But, so, like, speaking of food, right, how has you guys, has your diet changed at all? Are you more conscious around what you eat since your diagnosis? I mean, I hope so, but let's talk about how.
I'm not. I guess everybody around me is, though. You know how that goes. So when I first got diagnosed, I was a kid. I was 8 years old. So, of course, my mom, my parents went through the whole thing. Like, we're taking all the sugar out the house. Like, no sugar. We drank Crystal Light and sugar-free syrup, sugar-free everything. I said, this sucks. I hate all this stuff. So as I grew older, as my family got more comfortable with what diabetes really is, got more educated, we started to reincorporate sugar back into the household. Kool-Aid was our thing. We black. Kool-Aid was a thing. So we, introduced that back into the household. That was cool. So, but as I get older, I'm able to buy my own food, and I don't care. Like I go to Waffle House once every 3 days, and I get an All-Star with regular syrup. And I take 25 units of insulin every time I go, and I go high afterwards. But it's okay because I don't care because it's Waffle House and I like it. Okay? So with me, like if you like food, I'm like, eat food. You know what I'm saying? Like I pre-bolus most of the time, especially when it's a high carb meal like Waffle House, or I pre-bolus most of the time. But it's still not an exact science either. So you know what I'm saying? It's just a lot of numbers, a lot of guessing. I try to make the right guess every time I eat. Normally, you know what I'm saying? You try. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. It's okay. Yeah. But I feel like food is one of those things where you should not compromise your happiness. Yeah. You should make sure that you know how to pre-bolus and how to bolus for whatever you eat so that you can eat whatever you want to eat. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's how I feel about food.
And we're going to say that's for type 1 diabetics.
Oh, yes, for sure. For sure.
You know, type 2 is a little different.
Yeah, this is not medical advice, by the way.
This is my own
This is
personal
my
experience.
own personal
It's not
experience with
medical
food, all right? So, yeah.
But yeah, I think we kind of went through the same situation, right? Crystal light, sugar-free this, sugar-free that, because everybody's assumption is that diabetes comes from eating sugar. And that is a myth, right? It does not come from eating sugar. As a matter of fact, type 1 is an autoimmune disease, right? So, Donn, let's talk about some adjustments you had to make.
And I made a lot of adjustments because, first and foremost, we was poor growing up, so we couldn't afford all the good stuff. Like, I'm from North Philly, and we ate spaghetti.
Oh,
and, you know, spaghetti
pasta.
has carbs.
Yes, pasta.
We had spaghetti at least once a week. We had spaghetti, then we had like goulash, we had like Alfredo. So it was heavy carb meals, not even realizing how much the carb was. Because my household, everybody knew I had diabetes, but I didn't pay any attention, so they didn't pay any attention.
Yeah.
But now that I'm older now, it's like I love food.
Yeah.
So whereas though, like when I purchase my own food, I'm gonna want read labels in the grocery store. I don't like no added sugars in my food. I'm that person. Like I check all the carbs. I check pretty much everything.
Yeah.
But when I go out to eat, I'm eating, man. It's just like give me all the sugar, give me everything, and I just walk around happy. Like for example, last
walk around happy.
I know for a fact that whereas though pizza will crash me out completely. Pizza will take me over the edge
Every time.
But I went out last night after I left the club.
Yeah.
I got pizza. I said, wake up this morning, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
And my sugar was like 3 something. That's it.
Yep.
It's all good.
Same to me, bro.
It's working.
Yeah, it's definitely an art to finding that balance, right? To making sure that you still eat so that you are in good health, but that you don't just get so strict to where you feel like you can't eat anything or do anything. Because then I think that burns people out, and then you end up doing worse with your diabetes when you try to be so strict around what you eat and what you can't eat and all of that. Yeah. I mean, let's talk about when people tell us what we can and what we can't eat because they're uneducated around diabetes.
There you go. That's right. That's right. I think it's crazy, but being diagnosed as a diabetic, my quality of food and nutrition actually went up.
Yeah.
Prior to, I mean, again, I was a bachelor. I was kicking it, so a lot of processed food, a lot of convenience, So when I was, diagnosed and understood what it is that I'm dealing with, you became educated and actually started looking at ingredients and understanding. Like, man, I never paid attention to a service size prior to this.
Right.
Now I'm like, God dang, it's 3 service sizes in this Gatorade.
Wow, crazy.
So definitely a lot more in tune in what I'm consuming. But at the same time, to you all's point, like, shoot, all right, if I still have these guilty pleasures, why go to somebody else's kitchen? Let me go to mine, So really experimenting with the ingredients to really finding I can still cultivate this experience that I like without, quote unquote, the seasons that restaurants might throw in there, or without, without these things that might take me up over the edge. So like me and my wife, I mean, we still enjoy our steaks. We still enjoy our seafoods. We still enjoy our pastas. We make our own Alfredo sauce. I used to love that. I'm a pasta guy.
Yeah,
so chicken
same.
Alfredo, I love it. But then, we get the green pasta, we make our own cheese and things of that nature. So things that once would take me up to like $375 and I'm crying like, oh God, I'm about to go blind and like it still might take me up, but it might take me up to $285.
Yeah.
You advance. You eat the green pasta. I'm still regular.
Bro.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying.
The hidden veggie.
Yeah, the veggie. There you go.
We do try.
Yeah, I mean, and I think at the end of the day, it's just like, what do you want out of it? You know what I mean? Like we'll DoorDash some Waffle House or IHOP, understanding like, yo, I'm about to get a high.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna eat it. But you know what? I'm gonna go get this walk-in.
Yeah. I was about to say.
And before you know it, it's like that 2-hour window. You done has a little peak, but now you either coming down or you're back down. You know. So
yeah.
And the more experience you have with it, you know what your body's gonna do. You know what the foods are, except for pizza. I still don't know how to bolus for pizza.
There's no way to bolus for pizza. It's not a thing.
Oh my God.
Pizza's undefeated.
Pizza is undefeated.
Man.
I can eat it at 4 p.m. and then it'll hit me at 3 a.m. and I'll be like,
pizza is
and I
undefeated.
delay a bozo and all that
It
kind
don't
of
matter.
stuff.
It doesn't matter. So I think that one cool thing about having type 1 diabetes is one of the doctors at your event last week or 2 weeks ago said it perfectly. They asked him something about living what's life expectancy of somebody with diabetes. He said, bro, it can be higher.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, than somebody without it because you're so tuned into what you eat
Conscious.
and how your body responds to it. So for instance, like somebody without diabetes may eat something full of sugar. It may spike them, right? If we know we're about to eat it, we pre-bolus in enough time. Whenever we eat it, our blood sugars are like
Doesn't
this.
spike us.
You know what I'm saying? So we don't even get those effects of having that spike that somebody without having, you know what I'm saying, being able to pre-bolus has. So, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I think it's kind of cool, I guess.
I think it's interesting. When my husband and I got married, he's from a small country town, South Carolina. And so I was talking to my family, or his family, my family, around my diagnosis. And I think his grandfather died from diabetes, all 4 limbs gone. And so they would talk about kind of how they grew up and what they ate. And they're like, well, we always cut our Kool-Aid with water and we cut our sweet tea with water, but y'all ate rice 5 days a week.
Yeah.
So it's like really that uneducation around food and diabetes, and especially in Black and brown communities. Like that's one of the biggest things I've learned over my years. And as I talk to different people and as I try to share my experiences, like we really don't know about diabetes and food, and then the difference between type 1 and type 2.
I need to learn how to count carbs properly.
Listen, I just went back after 26 years to figure out how to count carbs again. Yes.
Mine was 2020, right before the pandemic. I learned how to properly count carbs.
Yeah.
How many carbs on this?
I look at the bread now.
Me too.
I'm
gonna go 30 grams, 15 to 15. Yeah.
25, 30, 25.
Yeah.
I guess. I was like, I'm gonna give myself 32 grams.
That's about right though, because like bread, 1 slice is 15, so I just do 2 slices and I go 30. And I know if it dropped, we got Kool-Aid. We got lemonade and tea over there, so it's like just in case.
That's right. I'm
So
in good company.
yeah. So you guys have talked about like your diagnosis story. I'm curious to know, like, how was the education piece? How was the, like, care piece around when you were diagnosed, like, in the hospital?
I can jump into that. I ain't getting no kind of education. I got some packets, and they say you take this much insulin at 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. Yeah, that was it.
That was it?
That's all I could. That's all I can remember.
They gave you like a solid number to take it.
Yeah, I was taking at that time. It was called Humulin 7030, and that was it. And I got no education, no courses, no classes. I didn't get courses and classes until 2020, and I was probably 17 years in.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. Nah.
That's crazy.
So they sent you home with a life-changing condition.
Yep. And they said, figure it out.
And said, figure it out.
I told you we ate spaghetti every week, and we didn't know that was good or
And
bad.
how old were you again? 12?
12.
At 12.
At 12.
Would your mom or your guardian who was with you, how did they kind of react to that?
It was crazy because, like, in the beginning phases, we was, like, you're, like, aware of it, but we ain't had the resources to go out, and they was talking all this organic foods, and now when you're in a house full of people, you're a low-income Black family, you can't go about, you like buy organic stuff like that as well, and we didn't really, we just kept living. That's what it was, and I wasn't sick, so I was had a condition, but I wasn't like dying, so we didn't really stress it too much at all. But I got no education at all. I was told what to do, and I wasn't talked to about what to do as well.
You two want to elaborate kind of on your experience?
Yikes. I mean, well, that's crazy, bro.
Yeah.
Well, I was 8 when I got diagnosed, so I don't really remember the education. I mean, I'm sure they taught me something in the hospital. I was there for a week, so I'm sure, I feel like the education when I was 8 was more so for my parents than for me, you know what I'm saying? Because they were my caretakers at that moment. They were kind of making the day-to-day decisions for me, you know what I'm saying? So, so I don't really remember like what it was because I was 8 years old. But if I was old enough to remember, I'm sure I'd have been like, oh, yeah, I learned this or I didn't learn this or whatever. So,
What about now when you go to the doctor? How's that experience been? I've had experiences with different endocrinologists. I have a good one now. I've had some that were not that great. And I kind of felt like dismissed or where I needed to advocate for myself. And so I know my experience as a Black female is probably different than a white female or a white male or a black male. So kind of how do you guys think that black male experience is different from other race groups?
I mean, I always find my own answers. Like I never ask a doctor. I go to the endocrinologist as a formality. Like I don't never go I don't really go to get fulfilled or anything like that. I've never been that kind of guy. That's kind of like across the board though. I don't really ask for help with anything I do. It may be like a black male thing. I don't know, but that's kind of how the way I see it. So I always kind of go to the doctor like, this is what I'm doing. This is what I've been doing. What you think? He's like, cool. I'm like, cool. See you again in 6 months or whatever. It's always 15 minutes long. It's, you know what I'm saying? But that's just not because of what my endo does. I think more so because of just what I do and how I just do stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Do you think you've been trained that way? Like, do you think if you had a doctor early on that like asked questions and really was intentional about your visits, you think you would have always been like that? Or do you think that could have been different?
I just feel like that's my personality.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm just like, I'm like, bro, let me go. I'd rather Google it than wait for the doctor to tell me anything.
We is not Dr.
It's not,
Google.
we are not
encouraging Dr. Google, okay? We are not.
But you know.
But you are.
Sleep.
Google is a tool, not a replacement.
Oh, I feel it.
Okay. All right.
And I chime in. For me, my network, my community, they showed me way more support than any doctor office I went to. When I was diagnosed, they sent me home with a pamphlet and a pyramid chart that was like in portions. Yep. But it's like, is this portion for somebody that's 5'8", 115 pounds, or somebody that's, in my case, I was 6'2", trying to gain weight, trying to work out, 6'2", 180, 185, and it was like, fistful of rice, that's it? Like, where my protein coming from, you know? But having my network, right, having my family, having my mentors, having individuals that told me, I don't understand, I've seen it, I don't have it, but I'm willing to embark on this journey with you. So having staff meetings and, well, shoot, man, we gonna order Chick-fil-A. Well, I'm gonna eat Chick-fil-A, but somebody tapping me on my shoulder like, hey, take one bun off. And they take it off with me. So it's like, you know what?
Oh, that's dope.
Love.
That is
You see what
love.
I'm saying?
Because I'm nobody taking off half a Chick-fil-A sandwich.
Yeah. And then it was, I got a lot of respect because when I got it, I shut down. But this young lady, she had it at the age of 5. And she just took the time to come school me. Just look, here's a bottle of grapefruit, keep it in your office. I'm like, well, I'm finna drink it now. She's like, no, because it's gonna spike you. When you get low, take a little shot, a shot of it. So it was just being embraced by the community and them in so many ways, just empowering me to get to the next day.
Yeah. How was your experience with your current endo versus when you first got diagnosed? We don't have to call out any names, but things that we see in good healthcare providers versus those that maybe treat us like we're just another patient or like we're just a bill.
Yeah, I think my first one, won't say any names, but I mean, it was almost like I was just a part of the formula. Get as many people as you can and get them out. Nobody really took me for me, like, who's med? What do you like to do? What are your hobbies? Well, let me tell you how this condition is going to affect your hobbies. You don't manage your sugar and you go out and play a full court of basketball, you can fall out.
Yeah.
So let's talk about how can we get you back to playing basketball. I didn't have that in my first endo. When I got to my second, I got it.
Yeah.
What are your dreams? Like, man, one day I want to be a father. I want to be a husband. Like, I was still in my grind as far as a professional career. He was like, all right, cool. If you don't do this, mental fog is going to be more common with you if you don't take care of yourself from a nutrition standpoint as a diabetic. You can't be the provider for your family if you don't manage your diabetes because it will chop you up. You'll lose a limb. You'll start losing kidney. So really brought it down to where, not saying they scared me straight, but empowered me to make a decision. Like, what do you want? What do you want your future to be? Here are your roads. You're the one that got to walk it. So that's where the endo I got now, that's how she is.
That's good. Mine was different because I think I had 2 endocrinologists, and I guess I'm my 3rd one now, but the one I have currently, it's a minority woman, and whereas though prior to the minority woman, I had white individuals, and they told me to take 10 units of medicine per meal, and if we know 10 units is
That's a lot.
It's a lot. So every meal I'm taking 10 units, and my sugar would just drop. You know, it goes like shoot up, drop again, shoot up, drop again, and I was doing that for over 10 years. And so whereas though, and I got my doctor now, and she was like, how much sugar from how much taking per meal? I was like 10 units. She's like, so what about a salad? I'm like 10 units. What about this? I'm like 10 units. She was like, a salad probably need 2 carbs, maybe probably 1
or less, right?
And so I was given the number formula basically. It's like you're a number, stick to this right here, do it, whatever happens to you happens to you. And my doctor I got now, she basically broke everything down from like, why you don't have a pump? Why you don't have a CGM? Why you don't got this? Why you don't got that? I was like, I never seen a pump.
Yeah.
I never, what's a CGM? What's Dexon? What's Freestyle Libre? I had no idea what none of that stuff was until she broke everything down, put me in proper training classes as well too. I think I went on like a week-long course. And you learn how to count carbs and proper bolus as well. But it was the whole element of, whereas though I did not have a proper endocrinologist or whatever. I told you earlier today, I travel far to see my endo.
And once you find a good one,
I
you don't want to let them go.
I ain't gonna say where I travel to because I don't want them to watch this and see me, but it's like, I travel far.
Yeah.
And I'm like, in the journey, just because I don't want to lose that doctor that helped me get my health under control.
Yeah, finding a good healthcare provider is like a major, that's a thing. And I think it can be really instrumental in your journey with whatever condition you're dealing with your health in general. But let's talk about, research shows that black men don't like to go to the doctor. Don't go to the doctor. I'm about research, practical. I be on my husband. Don't like to go to the doctor, get the tests that you guys need to get, and therefore you typically have shorter life expectancy. He blames that on having a wife, but shorter life expectancy. That's crazy. That is kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy because actually men with wives live longer. With good men, they live longer. But anyways, here and there. That delayed or not going to the doctor tends to put you guys at higher risk for complications, especially for diabetes, like 3 to 4 times higher. Why do black men not want to go to the doctor? I mean, that could be one reason, right? Like your experience when you actually go, your experience is not great. But what else?
I mean, there's a lack of providers out there who are African American. I mean, we live in Atlanta, Georgia,
so it's different for us.
It's different for us, but other states. Imagine a black guy that lives in Maine. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like without somebody who looks like you that's giving you advice about how you living. You know what I'm saying? In your skin, like it's just like. I don't know if I can't relate to who's ever telling me, I'm just not gonna go at all.
Yeah.
So we have a luxury down here, but it's not like this everywhere. So I get that.
We also live in a box for us like men. That whereas though, in order to step out of that box, we have to really look inwards basically. Because whereas though we don't want to seem less than or seem weak. Because if I go to the doctor and I get diagnosed with a condition, basically I'm weak now basically. So we have to figure out how to not make that condition or illness as a weak, but just like develop yourself, like learn what the world to as well, and like in society put that on us too as well because men are supposed, men's supposed to like protect.
Yeah.
So how am I going to protect if I'm sick? And we don't go to the doctor because like I don't have time for the doctor to tell me something's wrong with me and I can't protect or serve my family. So what do I do next? So a lot of men won't go for those particular reasons.
So you guys are taught or socialized to think sickness equals weakness. How do we get there though? Because y'all are all thriving with diabetes, right? And granted, how do we get there?
The color of our skin.
Yeah.
We wasn't given resources and tools.
Yeah.
For example, like myself, I never went to diabetes camp. I never had a proper class, but I have white folks I know or guys who I know with diabetes basically, and they was at camp their second month being diagnosed. So I was like, we have diabetes camp buddies. I just got my siblings who was trying to help me get through this as well. We're not given the resources and tools we need in order to get ourselves together. And it's just like, if black men in particular was given resources to help us thrive, we would be a lot better. And we're not given those tools, even with diabetes. I never seen a black male doctor.
Doctor at all.
I never been seen by a black male doctor at all.
Yeah.
And I don't think, and I go for male and female. And I came from, like, when I moved to California, I was in the Bay Area. We are rare out there.
Yeah.
It's like one black per thousands of different white people and, like, Asians as well. But definitely the minority, and there's not many people out there that look like us.
Yeah.
And I add to that. I think from like a vulnerability standpoint, through my experience of acknowledging and being open with me being a diabetic, I often get individuals that I had looked up to come pull me to the side and whisper, I got type 2. I'm like, well, how about you be as loud as I am with it to show others it's okay? Because I think sometimes people hear diabetes and they hear this stigma, lack quality of life goes down, death is certain, where in actuality it's not. My life has actually got better 10 times since my diagnosis. All the dreams that I ever had came into fruition as a diabetic, as opposed to somebody being, not diagnosed. But again, individuals like this coming to the table, having conversations, showing people, no, you can still thrive as a diabetic. I think that's some barrier breakers. These are things that gets away from that old school mentality. By individuals like us in the community stepping up, saying, look, yes, we are diabetic, yes, we are proud, and we'll outwork you, we'll outplay you, we'll outthink you, we'll whatever you can bring to the table, we'll outdo it, and we'll enjoy it in the color of our skin,
I think that representation absolutely matters, right? When you talk about finding a black male doctor or a black doctor in general, that's an endo or primary care. But even when you think about media and what you see in the media, even this is crazy, y'all. I do a lot of presentation decks, and I use Canva. I love Canva. Y'all don't kill me. I love Canva. But if you Google like diabetic, white people come up.
That's all you see.
When I was trying to, even on Shutterstock, I have to specifically say African American with diabetes, and I still can't find healthy, fun pictures with black people wearing technology. Black people, it's always like they're the patient, or there's some kind of negative something around diabetes when you talk about like black people and diabetes. And so that probably plays into, education around what we think diabetes looks like. So you talked about your community being an integral part in your journey right now. How important is community? Do you guys, completely honest, do you guys have a community of black males that live with diabetes outside of y'all sitting at this table that you can kind of confer in and go on this journey together with?
Yeah.
You know
what I'm saying? Yeah.
Maybe they might come now, but that's typically what it is. It's a lot of females, and then it's you.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Yeah. What about you two?
Man, community for me is I think for me is a little different, because like, whereas though half the people I know don't know I have diabetes. Like I was telling earlier today, I hid my diabetes for 15 years.
Same.
I didn't tell a single soul. I was in school, like eating food, take insulin hours later as well. But I don't have just like the group of like just black male guys to reach out to about diabetes stuff like that at all. But it's like, and for me, it's like I said before, people barely know I have it. Yeah. And people are like, well, Dad, you're not big. And I'd be like, that's your response?
That's crazy, right?
Okay. And but I think as I'm doing more outreach now, I'm trying to make that community too as well.
Yeah. Is it comfortable for you? Is it uncomfortable for you to kind of like build that community for yourself?
It's like a 50-50. It's like, I appreciate that venting aspect of venting to somebody about the same issues you're having, and then it's just like we're trying to figure things out together. But then also I'm like, I don't got time for that. I don't want to talk about this. It's that kind of that 50-50 thing there, whereas though it's really, it's hard. It's like, because you don't want to talk about it all day long, but then you want to talk about it too as well.
Yeah.
I think on my end, my network consists of a lot of black females, where I find a lot of my support when it comes to diabetes. But from a male standpoint, it's composed of individuals who are older than me. When I say older than you, 20 years.
Yeah.
But as far as individuals my age, no, I really don't have many people that I can reach out to. But I will tell you, an alarming statistics that I'm seeing is I'm being called on by my peers for their children or for their cousins at the ages of 8 and 9.
Yep.
They, man, I don't know what to do. Like, can you just come over and just talk to them? And I'm like, my name Med, not MD Johnson, but I come and talk, but it's alarming. But and I kind of look at it like, you know what, this is something that I wanted.
Yeah.
I wanted that individual to come in and that I thought was cool and all this and that. I want him to come in and talk to me. Don't give me all the answers, just talk to me.
Yeah.
And so that's why I try so hard to give back.
Yeah, that community is definitely important.
Yeah.
I think in terms of just mental support. Because we know diabetes is heavy.
Yes.
And we can't get rid of it. And it's 24/7. So on top of being a professional, a husband, if you got kids, a parent, on top of all of that, and being a black man on top of all of that, and then you gonna sit diabetes right on the top.
Come on.
And deal with that too. So what do y'all do for your mental? What have been some of the kind of like internal challenges or mental challenges around living with diabetes?
I can go ahead and jump off. I think for me, hitting rock bottom as a diabetic, like I got suicidal. The second time I went through it, you know, my diagnosis, I got suicidal and I started pushing people away. And at the time, me and my wife, we were dating, and she was my last person, you know, that I was like, all right, I just got to push her away and we can get down to business. But it's her making that conscious decision to say, you know what, I hear what you're doing, and I see it, and I'm going to take a step forward. For me, it's one of the main reasons why we thrive together, but why I thrive within my community is you got to talk.
Yeah.
You know, you got to talk, because to your point, a lot of my stuff was postponed because I was interviewing for a job of my dreams at the time. You know, I was moving the weight that I wanted to move. And you mean to tell me, you know, you're going to throw this little thing called diabetes on me to say, no, sir? Man, whatever, watch this. You know, so it's being a diabetic, the more I pushed against it, the more it just got patient and was just like, don't worry, you can't push me alone.
Right.
You know, you can't. So just as a hobby for me, communicating, you know, and then communicating to a source that understands how you see peace and protects your peace. I'm an outdoorsman, so my wife is like, look, you're getting on my nerves. Go out there and go fishing or something like that, you know. Yeah. But she don't confine me or take me away from those things. So I would definitely say just communicating, because I challenge anybody, go from a 85 to a 315 down to a 47. You're going to be in a mood. Yes, and when I'm saying that, I'm saying your blood sugar. Like, you're going to be in a mood. But having somebody on the other end that's mature enough to recognize and say, I'm going to give you a moment.
I ain't gonna take this personal.
Yeah, I ain't gonna take it personal.
Because you high right now.
Because you tripping.
Right your blood sugar's high right now.
Yeah, but what do you need? All right, take this water. I'm gonna come back in an hour. Go walk your damn dog.
So you talk about suicidal thoughts. We also know black men don't like to go to therapy as a stereotype, right? Not all of them, as a stereotype. Did you go to therapy or seek some kind of professional counseling around your diagnosis? I
did. I actually did. And it's crazy because it kind of goes back to having a good doctor. I think you guys, we talked about it earlier, as you have all these things going on in your life as a human. Yeah. And then you want to take diabetes and just put a little cherry on top. Yeah. And so for me, it was getting to this point, getting to this room, this checkup, to sit here and tell you, I need help. Yeah. Like that right there took a lot. You know what I mean? That right there was just for a lot, for especially a black male to come out and just say, I need help. Yeah. It wasn't received with that same amount of urgency. It wasn't received with that authentic attention that I was looking for. Yeah. And so just like any other male, or any other black male, I did what we always do. That universal, I got it. I'll figure it out. You know, which is just, not knowing how I'm gonna walk through this door, but I'll figure it out, just like I do everything else. Yeah. And I think that's when my community came and just really supported, because even though I thought I was being a magician and pushing people away, nah.
We could see through you.
They saw through it, and they did not. You might push me away, dude, but if I'm 4 feet away or 3 feet away, I'm here. Yeah. You know, and ultimately that's what ended up helping me. But then, too, gaining respect for diabetes, because if you ignore it, that's what's waiting on you. You know?
Yeah. That's what's waiting on you. And it don't go away because you ignoring it.
Right. Nah, it don't, you know.
Yeah. What about you guys mentally? Kind of what do you guys do to make sure your mental is good around just in life in general?
I mean, what I do is I take a meet every week, every Monday. I just do, like, I take a me day. Like, I don't answer the phone. I don't do anything. I don't leave my house unless I have to. But I have to reset every single week to kind of just decompress and and be, you know what I'm saying, not too burnt out, not too tired from whatever I got to do, you know? So that's my mental health routine for sure.
What about with diabetes specifically?
So I'm gonna take a break. So I would take a break from the Dexcom, or I would take a break from the pump. Like I would take a break from always seeing the numbers on your phone. I may delete the app for a second. Like, you know what I'm saying? It was just, I would just step back within reason, of course. I would never not take a shot if I need insulin, you know. But as far as the access to seeing my numbers in real time or the alarms or whatever, you know what I'm saying, I would turn that off.
Right.
Like completely. Yeah. Like I don't need to hear no beeps. I don't need to hear no vibrations, nothing. Just give me time to reset. Yeah.
Yeah. With me, it's just, I ignore it. It's crazy. Like, not ignore it, but you know how, like, I can be beeping. And somebody be like, hey, you're beeping. I'd be like, what are you talking about? And I was tuning it out so good that word. So it's like, I just want that moment to tune it out and not have to worry about it. And I feel like that really grounds me in a way.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, once I snap out of my grounding moment, I'll attend to it later. But it's like, I need a moment of just like freedom. Like sometimes I would take the pump off, put in the charger, walk away.
Yeah.
I just need that moment. And half the time, I won't even put it on pause because I don't got time for that beeping.
Yeah.
I just let it, if insulin come out, I just correct it later on.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like I just need that moment of just like silence, like just to myself and not worrying about this.
So we talked about mental. What about like physically? I'll say for me as a woman, I felt broken in a sense, right? Because I almost felt like my body let me down in more than one way, right? Because typically when you have type 1, you can also have another condition. So without full disclosure, I have another condition too. So I'm like, okay, my body is just like broken. Are there any misconceptions or things you had to unlearn or beliefs you had around your body physically once you got diagnosed with diabetes or just living with diabetes?
Honestly, I became much more active later in life. And whereas though I had to I thought that I couldn't do certain things because of the diabetes. Like I can't do cross country because sugar going to drop midway through. But now I know, put a little family pack or something on whatever and just keep it moving, keep it pushing. Yeah. Now I know how to kind of break that barrier of whereas though like go and do things. So I did a Spartan race in Seattle a few weeks ago and during that race, so I took the pump off, whatever. I had like my snacks in my pocket. And my friends had snacks too for me, but it's like I knew how to do it by just doing it basically. I didn't let diabetes stop me. But prior to that, I would kind of let it control everything I did. Be like, okay, I can't work out too hard because my sugar going to drop. I can't do this because it's going to rise up as well. So what do I do? But now I just learned like, okay, you got to do it. Yeah. It's like, how do you do it with having diabetes? Like you just got to do it.
Yeah. And I see you wear your pump on your arm, so it's very visible.
Yeah.
Were you, because I did not like wearing my devices. People have all kind of ridiculous comments, and I was insecure. Were you ever insecure, or was that not a thing for you? Or how did you start wearing your devices?
At first, I had the pump with the long tubes. I like the Tandem X2. And when I tell you that stayed like tucked inside my pants, tube down, it was like I hit it. But now I got to the point now I'm like, I don't care no more. And now I see it so frequently now, people with devices. So it kind of be like, okay, if they can wear it, I can wear it too as well. Like I'll wear like a tank and be perfectly fine stuff in my arm. As long as nobody touch it, as long as nobody fall it, I'm good.
But what's this?
Yeah,
right.
And like, what's that question? I get asked a lot too, and I'll be like, and I'll explain it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I don't mind shutting off now. It's so it's just easy now.
They're great conversation starters.
Yeah.
Right.
The
For
more
sure.
the more or less I try to hide it, the easier and like better I feel because I'm not worrying about it. I'm like, if I'm not worrying about it, you don't gotta worry about it.
Right.
I'm good.
Right. But to your point, people always ask, "What's this?" And it's always an opportunity to educate around diabetes, which is very much needed.
I say nicotine patch a lot of times.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It's a nicotine
patch. That's what you
nicotine
say. If they're genuinely interested, that's what you say too.
Hey, it depends on who it is. If I feel like being bothered that day, then sure, I can tell you about it. If I don't feel like being bothered, nicotine patch, what's up?
Yeah.
I'm joking.
But I agree with you though. It's like some days just be like,
I mean,
don't talk to me.
mind your business.
Yeah. But on the other hand, you see somebody else with it, And then what? Like you were talking to us earlier about.
Yeah. I mean, it's like a brotherhood, sisterhood. You know, I mean, when I
somebody
met you,
beeping.
It's the same as like you in a sea of white people and you see one black person. It's like, oh, that's my brother.
Right.
I don't gotta know who that is. You know what I'm saying? Same thing. But now it's because so many non-diabetics have CGMs now. It's kind of now it's like the club is getting the club is getting open to people who aren't part of the club, and I don't like it. But every time I see an insulin pump, I'm always like, oh, what's up, bro? But if it's a CGM, I don't know. You never know.
I yelled at this guy. I was in Target parking lot before the boycott, y'all. Target parking lot, and Buddy had on an Omnipod. And I was like, oh, what's up? You type 1. And he was like, yeah. And he just kept walking. I was like, okay, that's fine. That's not how they usually go. Usually it's like, hey, girl, hey, what's up?
Right.
But it's okay.
His blood sugar was high that day. It was high that
That's
day.
what we going with. That's what we going with. So,
That's
yeah.
what we gonna say.
So I have 2 more questions for you guys. And they kind of go maybe hand in hand. I know you're married. I don't know if any of you are dating, but let's talk about dating and diabetes, right? So when you're in a relationship or when you're dating somebody, how does type 1 come up? Do you bring it up? When do you decide to bring it up?
I'm laughing because for me, it's one of those things that where it's though, it got to come up. I think of like, this, I'm just going to be very frank. So like, if you're dating somebody, basically, like, you're going to have, like, sex, basically. And sex is cardio. And your sugar's going to drop.
It definitely drops.
Hey, I need to have, like, cranberry juice right here. And
fruit snacks under the bed.
And it's like, you have to be mindful of that, too, as well. So I let anybody I'm talking to, I'll be like, okay, this is what I got, blah, blah, blah. You don't got to worry about it, but let's just keep these things together. Like, keep this right here. Don't touch this. I need
Don't eat
this is for me. This is for me. And it's just like, you have to like let folks know, because the last thing like I ever want to do is like pass out on somebody and I just be like, and they lost because they don't know what's going on either. But just like, I try to let everybody who I talk to just be like, okay, like know something about it. Just know, my mood change. Be like, hey, ask me am I good, basically. Ask me am I good. Ask me, do you need anything, basically, too, as well. But it's like, I'm like, if you see me extremely irritated, I'll tell everybody, if you see my forehead sweat in a cold place, that means I need some sugar.
Right.
So like, you gotta like keep everything like afloat too as well. But when dating, I just feel like it's the person gotta know. They gotta know. Like before, it was more of a secret, but now it's like we're all adults here, so it's like you do things when you're adult, and so whereas though you gotta make sure that you can do things in order to be with somebody too as well.
So that's a first date conversation is what you're saying.
That's where I was going. I mean, it could be.
And it's funny because like I always told myself that whereas though I would never date anybody with diabetes because I have it, and that was something whereas though I was like, okay, I'm like I don't want us both to be passing out who will help who. And that was one thing I told myself. Like now I'm open to it more now, but it's prior it was like, no, this is like a firm rule or something. If I'm with somebody, you have diabetes. No, I'm sorry. You could be the most beautiful, amazing person, but I'm not. I can't do it.
Yeah, you say that. I had when I got diagnosed the first time. This chick, she wasn't my wife. Man, she was so toxic. I was like, you know what? I'm finna go to a diabetic meetup and find me a diabetic. Because she was like, God dang, like. But
that's hilarious.
But I mean, to your point, you gotta have these conversations.
You got to. I feel that.
You got to. Like,
I feel that.
When I got it, you know, that was my first time taking metformin. And man, listen, you ever took metformin without drinking water? That stuff do something to you. When I say, I mean, lock you up and all this and that, and I was a lot older, so I went from goddamn Macho Man to goddamn what's the little rat name, Tom and Jerry, you know, but just like who am I, you know? But you got to have these conversations because ultimately, like you say, if something does happen, how do we get help? What's help look like? But then too, everybody still has a future, you know. So what does my future look like? And if my future with you ain't past today, all right, cool. But you know, like. Me and my wife, when we got married, it was, hey, if I don't want to have children, are you okay with that? She was like, yes. Because I was like, what I have in me, I don't want to pass it down. But as we mature in our relationships and things of that nature, we decided to give it a try, and I just woke up my baby
Just
girl.
had a baby.
Oh, well, congrats, bro.
Yeah, man.
Congrats,
So
congrats.
that is a great segue into my next question. Family planning. You don't have kids right now, right? Do you have kids?
No.
Okay.
Wait,
But listen, but as we think about family planning and our future, are you afraid that your child could develop type 1? Do you not want to have kids because your child could develop type 1? Like,
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, it sucks.
sucks.
Genetically. I mean, if you're dating somebody with type 1, the odds of it is just,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying, increase that much. So yeah, I don't want to pass it down, but it's like you shouldn't let that deter you from having kids. I mean, because even looking at myself, like I have type 1 diabetes and I'm living a great life. You know what I'm saying? So unfortunately, if I do pass it down to my offspring, they're gonna be straight.
yeah.
You know.
Right.
Yeah, see, for me, like, I don't want any kids. That's always a conversation starter from the jump to as well.
I feel you.
But also, it's like, I don't want to pass it on to my,
Yeah.
to a kid, because I know what I had to go through. I don't want them to go through it either. And then I don't want to have a kid and whereas though they get diabetes younger than I did. And I'm like, how am I going to help a 3-year-old?
That's tough.
That's going to be a lot of
That's
myself
tough.
that's going to be on the child.
Yeah.
And I think on our end, me being diagnosed and the stories that I hear, a lot of it is on accident. I'm not saying we all say, on this day I'm going to become a diabetic, but we
Yeah.
find out
Yeah.
from an accident, or we find out when it's almost damn near detrimental.
Yeah.
One thing my wife and I were very intentional is taking those proactive steps. As our daughter matures, and possibly the second one, as they mature, this is going to be a topic of conversation. Let's catch it when if you are pre-diabetic, let's catch it and address it. Like, if you start having these headaches or dry mouth stuff, go get daddy's little thing. You know what I mean? Let's test your blood sugar. I don't want these stories of individuals falling out. Individuals, we got a dear friend in the family. She did like an 8-hour trip, got to her destination, fell through the door. That's how she found out she was a diabetic.
Right. Crazy stories. I said.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Crazy stories.
So to your point, understanding like this is a real reality.
Yeah.
Baby girl, you could be a diabetic one day.
Yeah.
But it's nothing to panic about.
Right.
Yeah.
In the stages, this is what you do.
Right.
Right.
So,
And luckily, there is technology and
technology,
advancements, so you can actually get tested to see if your child has
Right.
the type 1 antigens.
You can delay the onset, too.
antibodies, so you can delay the
Yeah,
onset.
Which is crazy.
So yeah, because they didn't have that, like you said, when
Right.
we got diagnosed. But you can do that now. That is a fear of mine as well. But again, if my child is gonna have it, at least they got an expert in the home.
come on.
Right. Right.
So-
Right.
You know. So okay. So last question. Actually, 2 more questions. Sorry. How have you used your experience as type 1 to positively impact your community?
I made a career out of it. So, for me, it's I'm a diabetic. Yes, I am. But there are also individuals out there that have high blood pressure, that have lupus, that have these elements. So I might not understand it, but I'm an advocate for you to have a better quality of life.
Yeah.
How can we come together, have a conversation, and get that? So me being a diabetic, I'll be honest with you, I kind of consider, y'all gonna think I'm crazy. I caught it later on in life, so maybe that's why. But I kind of look at it like it's my superpower.
It is.
You know what I mean? It's what puts me on a platform for the community of, not community, but for the masses to say what you shouldn't be able to do.
Yeah.
But the fact that I'm able to do it and grab a brother or sister that shares it, grab a brother or sister that may not know anything about it, but educate them,
Yeah.
that's where the gift for me is.
Yeah.
That's how we met at work.
Yeah.
It just came. Did I have my? I don't know what
We
happened.
did an event with the Hawks, and
Yeah.
it was like, hey, she's a diabetic. I was like, what?
And then we just
And we
connected.
just talked.
That's
Yeah.
real. That's real.
So you have a foundation, nonprofit.
Yeah, so I've been working in the diabetes world for maybe like 7 to 8 years. I've officially worked with Tandem and Breakthrough T1D, formerly JDRF. I officially worked with them like on an official capacity, going to different camps all around the country, talking to kids, doing workshops with kids, playing drums with kids. There's a lot of kid stuff, and I love that so much because kids need to, and I bring joy to the events. It's never like if I see I like when I go to an event, I see a kid in the corner. He just sitting there like, I don't want to be here. By the time I get done, he's up there jamming. He's up, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, bro, it's what it's about, man. So I love being able to inject joy into something that's kind of somber, especially when you're a kid. And I find really, really great purpose in that. So I started my own nonprofit. We're having our first event. Well, my nonprofit is called Mortality Diabetes, and it's a nonprofit that kind of combines my love for music and diabetes advocacy into one. So we host events and raise money for a lot of different things, sending kids to diabetes camps, sending kids to college scholarships, stuff like that. And so our first event, shameless plug, hold on. Can he zoom in on the camera? Can the camera, can you zoom in on the camera? I have here a flyer for my, you can have that one. I have here a flyer for my upcoming benefit concert on August 9th. Please come out. But yes, it's my first ever event, and it's a benefit concert with me and another trumpeter who's also in the diabetes community. And well, we're raising money and for my nonprofit and stuff like that. So super excited about that, and to be able to really, really do something great for the community. We're also having health screenings there for diabetes and for hypertension, blood, everything, having health screenings there so people can get checked and tested and get some knowledge about different health stuff. So really excited about that.
And the community.
Yeah, a little something. So
that's awesome. You were able to merge your passion for music with your life, literally, right around diabetes. And that screenings piece is a huge piece, and I think it should be a part of every community event. The one that we had 2 weeks ago, 21 men got screened. 7 were walking around with type 2 and didn't know it.
Really?
Wow.
And 3 were walking around with chronic kidney disease and didn't know it.
Wow.
So it's, again, you got to go to the doctor. You got to get tested because you can't fight what you don't know.
We can we're bringing a doctor to the people.
Yeah,
which is really cool. We have the screenings at the event they're going to be at. So, yeah.
And then, Donn, tell us kind of how you use your journey with diabetes to impact your community.
Man, mine is I do a lot of just advocacy work. One of my biggest passions around diabetes is making sure people have affordable diabetes supplies. Cool. And so I work a lot with Dexcom. I do some work with Tandem as well. And my story really speaks about just like I knew how it felt not having insurance for a good 4 years and getting insulin from friends and family members as well. So it's all about really having that. Make sure everybody just has like affordable kind of healthcare. Make sure you have able to afford the supplies too as well. So that's kind of like my journey with it too as well. And also I'm really huge on just being an advocate for men, particularly men of color too as well. So I do a lot of research specifically around just like men and kind of like traumas as well too. And so that's what I'm getting like a PhD in. So I'm really
nice.
I'm
Right.
focusing on that and really trying to make sure that men have the tools and resources they need in order to succeed, basically, and have the elements they need for us, just like when it comes to therapy and like health screens as well too, to make sure that if something is wrong, they can get the support and help they need to as well.
Okay, so I'll start with you with our last question. All right. What is one thing that you would leave and tell Black men around their health?
I think 2 things. Like, one thing I would say is we got to stop being stubborn. We got to stop being stubborn. And then one thing, we got to put ourselves first. Yeah. We often don't put ourselves first enough, and we got to put ourselves first and make sure that we are seeing our own stuff, make sure that we can thrive and be there for our families too as well. Yeah.
Antoine?
Ask him one more time.
What one piece of advice you would give to Black men around their health or around diabetes?
Oh yeah, just be more open with it. Like just be, what I'm saying. So, quick story. We met somebody last year at the Falcons game. He saw me and my friend with a device on, and he's like, "You guys have diabetes?" We was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Oh, me too." It's my first time ever meeting somebody with type 1 diabetes or whatever. And he didn't have any supply. He didn't have any insulin. Like he didn't have what he needed to have. And he was like, "My blood sugar's 300 something. Can you guys give us some? Can y'all give me some insulin?" So he was able to give us some insulin at that moment, which is really cool. But the fact that he had it and never met anybody, didn't know anything, kind of how to take care of himself, or I don't know if he was like just embarrassed to have a pin on him or whatever the situation was. It's like we shouldn't be in that situation ever. You know what I'm saying? And that starts with just being open with it, just accepting it. Like, yeah, I have diabetes, I have a chronic illness, whatever it is, accepting it. Find a community, or if you can't find one, make one, start one, and really just kind of find solace in that,
Yeah.
I mean, with me and my peers, we have a saying: "Choose your heart."
Choose your heart.
I like that.
It's hard being healthy.
Yeah.
But it's hard being unhealthy.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I say ownership. Like, when it comes to your health, choose your heart, but you can't give it up. You know, I know a lot of times we think we have more time than what we really do. Or we think if I get this promotion or if I get this accomplishment, then everything else, no, it's going to be waiting on you and it's going to be harder.
Yeah.
So I would definitely say when it comes to your health, unapologetically put yourself first and just choose your heart and stay committed to being here, the healthiest version of you, you know? So that's what I would say.
Nice.
I think this conversation was amazing. Were you about to say something else?
I was.
You wanted to?
At
Yeah,
your
go
event
ahead.
2 weeks ago, what you just said, brought up one of the guys said something on stage that like your condition loads the gun, but you only pull the trigger.
Yeah.
And that's where
Yeah.
just now, it was kind of like that piece. I was like, okay, so in order for us to get things like better, we have to be the ones to do it.
That's a,
Acceptance is a big thing, though.
Yeah.
You can't do anything without acceptance.
Facts. First step.
You really can't. So, but I think this conversation was amazing. I really appreciate you all taking the time to share your experiences with us. I hope you guys stay in contact now that
Absolutely.
we have all connected here. And I don't know if there's a community of black males in Atlanta with T1D. So you said start one, Antoine. So maybe that's listen, he got the space. You know, he has the reach. You got the reach. You know, you got the foundation. I'm just saying.
I feel that.
I'm just saying. How can the people find you?
Okay, I'm on everything at A Gibson Sax. Once again, A Gibson Sax. My website is AntoineGibson.com, and my nonprofit's information is Mutali Diabetes on everything. So MutaliDiabetes.com, Mutali Diabetes on Instagram. That's MUTALI Diabetes, and that's everywhere. So yeah.
As you can find me on, well, the best place probably is Instagram. It's Donn with 2 N's, so it's DONN_Kirk, and that's Donn DONN_Kirk, KIRK.
cool. Yeah, I'm not on social.
I tried to tag him, I
LinkedIn.
couldn't tag him.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm on
LinkedIn.
So yeah, just Ahmed Johnson, bald head guy.
There we go. Let's connect on
Thank you
LinkedIn.
guys. All right, let's all connect.
Right.
Thank you guys. So that concludes our conversation. Living with T1D, the Black Male Experience. See you guys next time.